Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting our season preview series as Dave switches to the normal camera setup. My name is Tyler Forno, and we are starting off with the quarterbacks. If you are watching live and you want something to follow along with, please go to VikingsWire.com and right on the homepage, click State of the Franchise or State of the Roster Quarterbacks, and that's going to be a nice little guide for you here as we talk about the 2023 Minnesota Vikings. Welcome to the Real Forno Show.
Welcome to the Real Forno Show. Managing editor of the USA Today's Vikings Wire. Betting and college football analysis for the Fantasy Points website. Publisher of Substack Run and Shooter. Host of The Good, The Bad, and The Hungry on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, as well as a founding member of Vikings First and SKOL.
You are looking live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Real Forno Show. I'm your host, Tyler Forno. With me, as always, is my co-host, Odie, who is down below chewing a bone, and producer Dave, top right corner, as he always is when we do not have a guest on. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great. Trying not to be steamed to death down here in sweltering Austin, Texas.
Can you cook a egg on the street yet?
I haven't tried, but I'm sure you could because temperatures have been over 100 this week. The problem with Austin, heat's heat, right? And direct sunlight on blacktop's going to raise it up, or on a car or whatever. But here, it's because the dew point is 75. And for those that don't know, a dew point is a better measurement of how much moisture is in the air. And it is subtropical. It is absolutely thick. And it makes people sort of miserable.
Bob, I see you in the comments saying that you hear an echo. Please let us know kind of who's echoing and what you're hearing, just because we have a new setup and we're playing with it. I see Dr. Proto saying that I have a nice reverb. Dave, I don't know what reverb is. I'm guessing that's a good thing.
It can be. It may or may not be. It's an extension of your voice. You know, if we wanted to really play with it, the reverb might be this.
Okay, well, it says the echo is on me, so I don't know how we can fix that live, but let's see what we can do.
Okay. Interesting, because I don't hear it at my end either.
Well, I do know that Odie is chewing a bone right below me, but everybody's seeing that they hear an echo from me, which I find fascinating. I don't know if there's anything we can do. Tried to tighten a couple cables. We're going to see what we can do here live. I know this is not exactly the way we wanted to start the show tonight, but stick with us. We are, I am pretty good with technology, but when it comes to this stuff, I'm kind of stupid. So please bear with me. We're trying to get everything figured out. Yes, Davey, I do agree that Dave should use that voice. As you can see, Dave is trying to kind of figure out what the echo is so we can fix it by listening to the YouTube video and not me. But let's continue on here. And one thing I want to touch on that you can check out on VikingsWire.com is, that's a really good point, Jeremy. Might be on the mixing board. Dave and I have the same one, so hopefully we'll get it fixed real quick.
Now I heard it. And yes, you got massive amounts of reverb coming across the YouTube feed. Now,
cool. What do I fix it?
All right. Now go to channel number 1. Click on channel number 1, which is where you have your mic plugged in.
Yep.
And
do I need to put I dropped it down to 50. How does that sound?
No, that's not what is causing it, and I turned down the deal. No, it's not the gain.
Okay.
Let's see. Go to effects on the right-hand side. Do you see it?
Yeah, I just hit reverb.
Okay. Now, we want to, let's see. I just turned off my processing. I wonder if you turn off your processing, if that'll help. Where you see echo and reverb and then the processing dial below.
How's that? Do I sound better?
I got to wait on the delay of the YouTube.
Oh, I totally understand. Everybody in the YouTube comments, I can notice a little bit of difference in my headphones. Let me know if I'm still echoing. Podcast will end up getting this kind of figured out. Jeremy says it's the same. So that is a downer. So I can change the level. I can change the low cut, the high cut, and what's called the small hall. Just if you click on the reverb.
Go back to the main screen where you got the bar graph.
Okay.
Now, on the right-hand side, where it shows your pads, where on the front page it shows music, and then blah, 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 all the way down. Switch to page 2, where the pads are blue, all that. Are any of those on the screen lit? Which one?
They're all different colors. I don't know what you mean by lit.
The background, rather than the background being gray, it's blue.
No,
or
they're
purple.
all gray.
Okay, go to the next screen.
Okay. All gray.
Damn. Don't know why you're coming in across with reverb.
I don't know either. This is fun.
Okay. Now there's.
I think this is tremendous audio. This is phenomenal. We are having a good time.
But there was an update to the software yesterday on the system. You probably didn't see it.
No, I had the thing off, and I just turned it back on literally right before we came back on the air.
Well, I don't think it updates automatically.
Okay. Well, that could be.
Go. I know everybody's like, "What the heck?" Hey, folks.
Computer
mic on? No, but that doesn't sound right because it sounds like tons of reverb. If you go to system, well, it's hard to say. If you go to system, go to your gear button on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Click that. Hit system. Click. Where are you at? I'm listening to 2 different feeds. Where are you at?
I just changed the mic on my computer.
Right.
Or on eCam, I mean. I just changed it again. I just changed it a third time, trying to see if there's one that when we get people in the YouTube comments mentioning, hey, maybe I don't sound like crap anymore.
No, you do. At least so far.
All right. Well,
like
this
you're
is
in a church or in a sewer.
Yeah.
No, it's nothing that.
Okay.
It's got to be a setting on your front.
All right.
No, that's worse.
Okay. I'm trying to play with stuff and Figure it out. Oh, God of Thunder. Dr. Proto, listen. I'm already echoing. You do not want to hear me sing. That would not be fun for anybody. Yeah, that would be bad.
What do you think, my worthless opinion?
All right. I think I just made it worse. I have no idea what the hell is going on.
Where we're getting into now is further, and we're going to have to step it through outside of live broadcast.
Yeah. It says that
you did. Aaron, just roll with it. We'll get used to it. Aaron, are you staying cool today? And yesterday?
Yeah, Bob, I think is right. I think Odie can fix it. I did change one minor thing, like on my end. Hopefully that fixes it. I honestly don't know what else it could be because everything's plugged in right. Dave, I don't know.
No, you didn't fix it.
Of course not.
To think of what effect you may have hit that blew this off.
The P48 is off. Does that matter?
No.
If you're looking at
turn the Omicron or whatever that is off. Processing should be green.
Green.
Presets. You go to broadcast.
Presets. I don't know if I did anything with presets. Oh, you mean under processing?
Yes. If you go. Okay.
Which one is broadcasting?
It says neutral, podcast studio, and broadcasting. Or go to podcast studio, either one.
All right, I just did podcast studio. Hopefully that fixes it. Because nothing was selected there. So
I'll tell you in 15 seconds as it catches up with the delay in the YouTube feed. No. Well, hold on.
Okay.
Nope. Damn it.
Well, I tried one more, and we're gonna. If that doesn't work, we're just gonna kind of roll with it being echoey on YouTube and apologize because I know you guys are not here for us to try and fix audio issues with this new device. You're here to listen to some great content about the Minnesota Vikings in the quarterback room. But this is something Dave and I will have to try and fix offline. And it's annoying, but what can you do? It kind of just is what it is at this point. And frustrating. I'm still echoing, aren't I, Dave?
Oh, yeah. Reverbing is what you're doing. You're not echoing, you're reverbing.
Should I because I can go to reverb. Should I just turn it like all the way down or something?
Yeah, where do you have it turned up?
I don't. It's off. Like reverb's completely off. That was like the kind of the set, but I could like turn it on and then mess with stuff. I don't know. It's frustrating because I feel bad for the people who came here to listen, which I'm eternally grateful. But my worthless opinion is used to it now. All right. Well, you know what? Let's rock and roll. Dave and I will try and fix it later. I have no idea what the heck's going on. I'm good with technology. Like if you need something with like a TV or how to connect stuff, like that kind of stuff, I'm great with. This is like a whole new language. So I am trying to figure it out. But let's talk about the quarterback position. But first thing I want to talk about is this whole Justin Jefferson trade nonsense. Score North answered a question from a fan talking about, hey, would you trade Justin Jefferson for the first overall pick? Okay. One, I think the answer is obviously hell no. And I don't think you should make that move. And I made that very clear on Monday's episode of Purple Daily on draft. I'm like, no, it's making that trade would be an abomination. You can't do it. Well, it continues to get a lot of press. So I wrote a piece on it, and that's how I get a lot of my content. Is I kind of just get inspiration, and then I just go. So because I did that, I ended up having a little bit of fun with it, and I talked about how you cannot trade Justin Jefferson to get a quarterback in the future. And one of the reasons why was infrastructure. Let's say Jaren Hall has to take over this team halfway through the season. Let's say Kirk Cousins has like a season-ending injury. Hopefully it doesn't happen for both his and the Vikings' sake, but let's go down that rabbit hole. If Jaren Hall has to come in and play meaningful snaps, he has a phenomenal infrastructure to work with. He's got an offensive-minded head coach. He's got really good weapons, the best receiver in football, a top 3 to 5 tight end in football in TJ Hawkinson. He's got a wide receiver in Jordan Addison, who they just selected in the first round. Bookend franchise tackles in Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill. You can't make that move. You have the perfect situation for a quarterback to be successful. You can't do it. And Dave really talked about it on today's Vikings Daily Opener on the podcast feed, which highly recommend you check out every single day. You just can't make those types of moves. Now, if Jefferson says, I want to be traded, you have to trade me. Like if he makes that request, kind of like Stephon Diggs did, like Percy Harvin did. Okay. Well, Davey, I hope your drums didn't explode. I would feel really bad. I will try to keep my voice at a monotone level so it doesn't impact you. This is very annoying, Dave.
I agree. And what I hear on my end through my headsets, you sound perfectly clear. But when I went on the speakers to listen to YouTube, I'm hearing reverb. Slapback is an echo. Who was it? Dr. Proto said he thinks it's slapback. An echo, and by that, reverb is the sort of sound around the noise. A true echo is a bounce of, well, and reverb comes from sort of bouncing too, but it comes from the bounce, and you can hear the second thing back, and that's slapback. That's the difference. It's hard to tell, but it's got to be a setting. If something's off, when we get done, we'll go through, make sure all your settings, all the software's up to date, and we'll test it.
Okay. Because it's just very frustrating. Like, nobody wants this. But let's talk about quarterbacks, because I think it's really important, especially when you talk about the future of the Minnesota Vikings. Quarterback position is one that you have to really be aware of. And you have to understand that it is going to be the future of the Vikings, whoever they end up choosing. It could be Kirk Cousins. If Cousins has another really good year, we have to keep ourselves open to the idea of an extension. Could just be 1 year, could be multiple years. We know that Cousins wanted multiple years guaranteed. The Vikings only wanted 1. And that ended up making it so that they had to actually take a break, and those extensions won't continue again until, as Kirk Cousins says, March. But he had a really good season. You look at the counting stats. So completion percentage, yards, touchdowns, interceptions. They're not great. Like 14 interceptions in today's NFL is not great. But you have to look at things from a much more broad perspective. He did something that he hasn't done in his entire career. He really tried to continuously hit receivers in the hole. He tried to make these tight window throws that he wasn't even close to comfortable making in previous years. He was empowered to do so more than ever. And this offense requires it. So it's not like he can just be like, oh, Mike Zimmer told him to do it, but he just wasn't going to do it. This offense is asking you to make those reads and decisions and fire the ball. And he was doing that. And I thought he had his best years in Minnesota Viking, even though a lot of his raw data stats were not his best. And I think understanding the difference between the two is something that you have to be aware of, and you have to be cognizant of why things are happening. They're happening with Kirk Cousins this way, where he loses some of those counting stats, but actually improves as a quarterback because of the situation he's in. He's being more empowered than ever before. And looking at those things, it matters. It absolutely matters. And I want to hopefully understand a little bit more about Cousins and how he grows in this offense this year. Something else that is not getting a lot of talk. Kirk Cousins is going to have a returning offensive coordinator for a second full season for the first time in his Vikings career. Kevin Stefanski took over at the end of 2018 for John DeFilippo, but he only had one full season. 2019, 2020, Gary Kubiak. 2021, Clint Kubiak. 2022, Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips. Guess what? They're both returning. I think that's really important to understand because they're both returning. You don't have to do any install outside of like new packages or plays that they want to implement, but all the basic terminology is the same. Your basic core concepts are the same. And instead of installing it with your whole team, you can grow and build on it. Something that they talked about the West Coast offense. Takes 3 years to really feel comfortable in it, 5 years to master it. Year 3 is when you see that huge jump. Now, I think that you're going to see more improvement this year because Cousins has, it's not the exact same, but he's worked within the confines of a lot of these things consistently. So he has done a lot for like a lot of these concepts with the Shanahan style system that he worked with under Stefanski, Kubiak, and Kubiak. A lot of that stuff will translate over, and they're going to be doing a lot of Shanahan stuff this year because they're telling you that, especially with Josh Oliver. They want to run the ball more. They want to be more successful with it. And 12 personnel is the best personnel package to really be able to attack the field. Personally, I love 21 personnel if you have the running backs to do it. Not a lot of teams have the horses to be able to run that kind of personnel. Like, you want guys, like, if you had Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson on your team, like, if I were the 49ers, I would have actually considered taking Bijan with my first round pick if I had one. Because all of a sudden, you're looking at having two absolute unicorn players at running back. And then you could split them out wide. You can have them in the backfield. You can do a lot of different things. And I think that's key because you're able to do a lot of different things and be that kind of versatile. Well, you can do that with 12 personnel too. And I think that's going to help Cousins because the running game is going to be stronger. Therefore, the play action game is going to be stronger. And the trickle down effect, while it doesn't always work with like economics like Reagan wanted it to, it does work with football. Because you're going to get trickled down to the quarterback, and it's going to make his life a lot easier, and it's going to help the Minnesota Vikings offense. Now, his future is murky, and that's kind of why I phrased my tweet the way I did when I had to go off that article go off for Vikings Wire. It's like, well, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Nobody really knows. It's a mystery box. You ever see that episode of Family Guy where you can go and you can like do this timeshare presentation and they give you a boat? Well, Peter takes the mystery box. He's like, well, hold on, Lois. It's a mystery box. You never know what could be in there. It could be a boat. Well, that's kind of what it is with the quarterback position. Nobody really knows what the future is. It could be Kirk Cousins. Could be Jaren Hall. More than likely than not, it's going to be a guy they take in the 2024 draft.
There are a lot of quarterbacks. Who knows? Could be a signed free agent.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of
Rodgers relives Brett Favre.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. That'd be absolutely hilarious.
No,
I'm very intrigued to see how things go with the quarterback position this year because I'll spend a minute talking about Nick Mullens, one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league, but he's never going to be more than that. If Kirk Cousins is out for 4 games because of X, Y, or Z, Nick Mullens can take you to 2-2 or 3-1 record. If he gets exposed any more than that, you're not looking so hot. And I think that's why he's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. But quarterbacks who get drafted and then end up as the starters, I don't count as backups. Like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, both could, Anthony Richardson, they all could end up as the backup quarterback to start the year. That's not a backup quarterback. that is a player that is learning and a player that is trying to figure out what to do. And that, to me, that's not a backup. A backup is the guy that they're going to replace. Davis Mills, Gardner Minshew, Andy Dalton. Those are backup quarterbacks. And I think Nick Mullens is a top 5 backup quarterback in the NFL based on kind of that criteria. And I think, Dr. Proto, we need to get Odie the squeaky toy. Nope, it is on the kitchen table. He can't get that. That would not be fun. Guys, please let me know if the reverb ends up going away and the echo, because I would love for that to happen for you guys, but it kind of is what. Yeah, let's hope. Odie's being a good boy down here, and a big shout out to friend of the show and watch every day, Mary. Odie turns 1 in 1 week, and she has sent him a nice care package that she said is arriving tomorrow, and I'm very excited to open it with Odie because he is going to love it, because he loves new toys and he loves treats, and I know that Mary put in there. But we have to talk about the big elephant in the room, and that's Jaren Hall. I have talked about Jaren Hall extensively, and I don't want to rehash a lot of what I had to say about Hall, but I do want to say this. You have to look at him from a different outside perspective, okay? I love his potential. I think he could be great. At the end of the day, he's a 5th-round pick, and expectations are set at a 5th-round pick. The thing is with Hall, if he exceeds those expectations, Dave, then the narrative shifts. Then you're talking about somebody different. You're talking about a player who could take you to the next level. And if you take things to the next level with Hall, I really do think that he could be one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League in time. He has the arm. He has the athletic ability. He has the ability to create. He needs to figure some stuff out. He is not a finished product. He's not perfect. He doesn't have any elite level arm. Driving the football into super tight windows, he's not going to do that like Brett Favre. He can do it on like a Kirk Cousins level. And I think that's passable in the National Football League. I think what really lends credence to Hall is, one, he's incredibly mature. He was a captain at BYU. He's also 25 years old. Part of that was due to a 2-year Mormon mission, which is why I think he's a different age. He's a different 25 years old than Hendon Hooker, who's been playing football nonstop. Jaren Hall took a 2-year break from football. And I think that is a big deal when you're having these conversations, because his body is not the same as a normal 25-year-old quarterback's body, because he had that time off. And that's almost like relaxation time for an athlete, where you're not working out all the time, where you're not doing X, Y, or Z. He was doing a Mormon mission. Now, I'm sure he did some working out in the course that I don't really know how Mormon missions work as far as what you can and can't do. I know you're pretty isolated from your friends and family because you're doing this for God. So I'm not going to comment a whole lot about it. I do know it's just different.
They're paired up during that. There's always at least 2.
Oh, 100%. But you're not living with, you're not talking to your family every single day. You're not going out and having fun every single day. You are on a mission from God to help spread the word. And that makes things a little different as far as how your body ages. And I think that's important to note with Hall. But because he is a 5th-round pick, you have to temper those expectations. There's at least a 90% chance that he's probably not the starter for this team long term. I think that 10% is worth the bet, because I really believe in the player. And you can go look at everything I've written about Jaren Hall. My pinned tweet is something from September of 21 that he's a guy to watch out for in the draft, because I thought he was really good. I've been on this guy for over 2 years.
Yes, we know your man crush.
And, shut up.
And I've thrown up the graph of how 5th-rounders don't do squat in the NFL, all the way back to the 60s or whatever it was that they did the numbers. There's only been 3 that have ever made playoff games out of all of them. So if Jaren Hall breaks that mold, that'll be partially a credit to him and probably more a big credit to Kevin O'Connell and his staff to get him there.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's important that he played in a lot of, in a spread version of what Kevin O'Connell likes to run on offense. Like, he's doing a lot of those same things, and I think that transition makes such a difference. And I want to transition to talking about a potential quarterback in 2024. This team is set up better than any other in the National Football League for a rookie quarterback. And let me tell you why. You have arguably the best receiver in football, at worst, top 3. You have bookend tackles. So premium positions galore. You have Jordan Addison, premium position. TJ Hawkinson, elite at a kind of fringe premium position, because if you have an elite tight end, it's a real cheat code, but there aren't a lot of them to go around. And I think that's important to talk about. If Hawkinson really takes that step and truly becomes elite, that changes a lot for the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm fascinated to see how things continue to grow and evolve with Hawkinson, especially because in this offense, Dave, Hawkinson is going to have a full offseason. And something that we talk about with the Vikings, we're talking about regression. Oh, they're not going to win all their one-score games. Okay. Well, let's say they have 12 one-score games next year. Let's say they go 7-5. I do think coaching is going to matter enough, because the coaching is one of the reasons why they were able to win a lot of those games. They focused on those instances to make sure that you took over in those games. That's important. It's very important, Dave. And you also have to talk about regression in the mean when it comes to positive regression. The Vikings, overall weighted DVOA on offense was 22nd, and their rushing DVOA was 28th. Why can't those positively regress towards the mean?
Yep.
I think that's not being talked about enough. Everybody, look, Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers, overall smart guy, but he also shows an inherent bias whenever he talks about the Vikings. It's always a negative. He's always trying to pinpoint that the Vikings stink. And you know what? I get it. I don't necessarily blame him. It's his brand. But at the end of the day, if you're not being 100% honest and trying to find the right answer instead of trying to find an answer that supports your narrative, you're not doing your viewers and listeners a good enough service. And to me, I think that is such a big deal. Honesty, I really feel is the best policy. And look, if I wanted to just be Barstool Sports, we may have quite a few more subscribers, but I'd rather be doing what we're doing because we're genuine, we're honest. And look at the people who are consistently in those comments every single week. They think that
it greatly.
Oh, we absolutely appreciate it greatly, but we've cultivated a great group of loyal people who continue to watch and listen to us because of what we do, not because we're hot takey, because we're genuine. And I think that's so important. And that's why when you see people like Peter go on Twitter and tweet about how the Vikings are in to just completely stink next year because of X, Y, and Z, it's not genuine. None of it is. If you're not genuine, what are you? And to me, that's such a big deal when it comes to talking about the future of the Minnesota Vikings. Be genuine, be real. Form opinions based on all the data, not just the data that you think will help support your narrative. Guess what? If the data doesn't support my narrative, guess what? I'll change it, because it's called growth. It's called understanding. It's like a scientist. If you see oh, you're mixing up chemical A with this compound and it doesn't cure cancer, but chemical B does, but you found chemical A, so you want it to work, you're not going to say look, we're going to just keep trying this, even though I've already seen this work. We're just going to keep trying. We're just going to keep trying. No, you go cure cancer. Again, I know that's a little extreme and a little hyperbolic, but at the end of the day, be genuine and be real and change your opinion based on data presented to you. I'm off my soapbox. But one of the reasons why the 2024 quarterback is so intriguing, it doesn't have to be Caleb Williams. It doesn't have to be Drake May. Would one of those guys rule? Absolutely. But it doesn't always have to be that. It could be Quinn Ewers. It could be Michael Penix Jr. It could be A guy like Austin Reed from Western Kentucky, who I really think is a talented football player, jumped up from D2 to Western Kentucky and had a great season last year. But at the end of the day, you want to put whoever that is in a position to succeed. And that's what the Vikings need to do, and that's what they're trying to do, and that's kind of how they built this team. They have those tackles, they have those weapons on the outside, and that defense is going to immediately be better. And to me, that's the really, really frustrating part about a lot of the discourse about the Vikings. I'll give credit to the Minnesota Football Party because they were the first to bring this up. But like Mike Zimmer took the worst defense in football and brought it to like 8th, I think, in points allowed, or maybe it was 13th. Like, you go up 20 spots in points allowed per game because of one brilliant mind. Like, they added a little bit of talent, so did the Vikings. But at the end of the day, if you're able to bring in a mind to help mold that defense, that's going to make so much of a difference. And I don't think they win 13 games this year, but 10 or 11 is not out of the question. Because if Brian Flores is as good as advertised, which I think he is, that defense is going to be immediately better just because they're being put in better positions to be successful. Let's hit up a couple things in the comments, Dave. I want to start here.
Let me answer this real quick for Norsefius.
That's exactly where I was going. Go ahead and answer.
It's a Rode Procaster microphone running through a Rode Podcaster Duo. Yeah, they sound similar, but that's what it is. The mixer box is a Rode Podcaster Duo, and the microphone is a Rode Procaster. I've got the same setup. Now, and Darren has the same setup now. If you got it yesterday.
Okay. I want to address this from one, Patrick. You know what? I'm not always the best at recognizing the comments because I do have a lot I want to talk to you guys about. And, that's something I'm trying to work on. But it is appreciated. And I love reading the comments as we're kind of going along. But sometimes I just have a lot to talk about, and I don't always get to it the best. So I'm trying, and I apologize for not being great. But Matthew says that One Bar and Lupkis has been picking on Patrick a lot because he has some comments that are critical of the team. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Like, I will challenge some of the things that you guys have to say in the comments. I've done it before. I'll do it again. But at the end of the day, being critical is not bad. Being critical is good. But I want it to come from a good place. I want it to come from, I'm using the analytical side of my brain. I am trying to be fair about my criticism of the team. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to be correct. Norcefius, XLR. Like, we went full big boy, and that is all thanks to Dave. But when you're taking a look at everything, be genuine. Like, if you're critical and you have your evidence to back it up, and you're just being real, that's fine. If you're being critical because you just want to be spiteful, or you just hate the fact that the Vikings let you down every year, that's a whole different story. I do it a lot compared to other podcasts. Well, thank you. I know you meant it positive, Patrick, but I don't think I do it enough. So I just wanted to kind of make that a point as well. And I appreciate that. Be as critical as you want. All I ask is that you guys continue to be genuine in those comments, and I will continue to be genuine back to you, because I think that's kind of where it comes from. And I like the community that we built. This is a really good space to talk and have good discussions about football. I see people chime in with what they think the record will be. Mary, I think you're very optimistic at 12-5. I don't think it's impossible. I think right now
anything's possible nowadays. Yeah. It's not impossible. It depends on a little bit of luck, injury fate for other teams, and how players show up on a particular Sunday. As we all know, in the NFL, any team can win on any given Sunday. You can have the best team, say the Chiefs, lose out to the Jaguars. And everybody goes, how in the hell did that happen? That stuff happens in the NFL. Now, can they put all that together and string out 12 wins? If they do it with this first place schedule, it's going to be quite the feat. And we'll see if they do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how everything kind of phases out. Patrick, one of these days you'll have to tell me about what you consider a lot to back up the claims of being critical of the front office. I'm very intrigued. I've been very I'm trying to think of the word patient with the front office, because they have to fix a lot of things that Rick Spielman left behind. The Dalvin Cook contract, the Harrison Smith contract, Eric Kendricks, like
all
they had to do a
years.
Void years are not going away, and honestly, they're not a bad.
It's going to take. Well, I think it's a poor way of using your resources. Dave's opinion. Now, I understand when you do it, but I think for Dave's opinion, it's a poor way to use your resources, because if, say, we'll take Kirk Cousins for an example. Kirk Cousins is done at the end of this year. He's completed his contract. He still has 4 years of void years of contract that all rush together next year, and we'll $28.5 million. Now, if there was no void years on that, and he finished his contract this year and then went off to play someplace else, we'd get a compensatory pick. But if you use void years, you don't get a compensatory pick. So what you're doing is you're buying that extra time on credit, basically, just like your credit card, and the interest you're paying is the loss of compensatory picks if that player is good. Now, I understand the reason for using void years to get, cap compliant, theoretically, so you can play with a competitive team and not totally suck. You're moving money out. The Saints were great at it. They kicked that can and kicked that can and kicked that can and kicked that can, and then they've been paying for it the last couple of years, and they will continue to pay for it. But if you didn't have that, if you were in good enough financial situations beforehand, you didn't need to do that, then the decisions are easier and you get bonuses with it, the compensatory picks if the player's good and walks, whereas you do not with the void years. And until they get under that, where they don't have void years and aren't paying a boatload of dead cap money, they're still going to be working on that. And that was all set up under Spielman. They've had to play with it and move it out just to stay competitive these last 2 years, but they are working on cutting that down. They're actively doing that.
Yeah. The whole void years things, I think it can be abused, and I also think it's a necessary evil. And I don't necessarily think it's going away, but we'll see kind of how things go. I'll say this, then we're going to wrap up the show here because there's not a whole lot else to talk about with these quarterbacks that we really haven't already talked about. Next Monday,
Nick Mullens.
I had him quickly. I called him a top 5 backup quarterback in the NFL. There's really not much else to say about Mullens. It's just
I agree with you.
Just kind of is what it is. Next Monday is the 100th episode of the Real Forno Show. I know. We have hit 100 episodes. It only took 15 months, and I think that's really cool. If you want to go check out some of the older ones, you can listen to Climb in the Pocket feed for those. Vikings First and SKOL has them from the beginning of free agency on, so like March 13th. And it's really cool that we're hitting 100 because I've been doing, you and I have been doing shows together now, Dave, for about 3 years, but some of this outside of, the echo, issue, that this is, that these last few have really been some of our best work. We are, no, you're not the only one, Davey, but the failure, some of that wasn't all Spielman's fault. Like, they wanted Drew Brees. Their doctors said no. And Rick Spielman was there for that. So that's a tough one. Spielman wasn't great, but if they get Drew Brees, a quarterback fixes a lot, and they are able to kind of fill a lot of those issues. So I'll give him a little bit of a break, but yeah, you're not wrong. But he came in and he did a really good job once he got full control of the front office. Yeah.
Our best season during that time was 2009 when he was part of the triumvirate.
Odie, you're fine. No barking. Odie is barking, and I don't know why.
Anyway,
I think he. Yeah.
You go find out, and then we'll let the people go for tonight. Hope they have some good beverages, some great talk about guys and bands, and using the Shure. What was it? SM58. That's the handheld mic, if I remember correctly. A very good mic. Sure makes great products. And yeah, Spielman brought in Freeman, the savior. Yes, there was that. Spielman had his misses, but he also had some hits. And all GMs have misses and hits. It's the ones that do the 10% better that become great GMs. So yeah, if there's 33 watching, especially with the sound issues we're having tonight, we appreciate it. Please like and subscribe.
Odie is very mad about the fact that we have reverb issues right now, but I'll say the last thing before we SKOL and bid you adieu, because I have to go watch Dynamite for my All Elite Wrestling podcast, The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy. Norcefius, the problem is it's only YouTube that's getting the reverb. Dave thinks I sound great. So the podcast should be just fine.
Well, I'll check that as soon as we get done, because I record to the computer.
All right, perfect. Well, that's our show. We'll be back on Monday with another episode. Ryan, thank you very much for that. We are going to continue to be honest, and you're going to get 100% genuine from me every single time. 100% genuine from Dave and Darren and Justin every single time. And to me, that's more important than anything. Honesty is the only policy when it comes to the Real Forno Show and Vikings First and SKOL. Whether it be something you like or something you don't, you're going to get genuine from us, and then we can have discussions about it. Until next time, I'm Tyler. He's Dave. That little Borker is Odie, who turns 1 next Wednesday. We will celebrate on air in some way, shape, or form. SKOL Vikings, baby.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. It helps us grow this community that we all love, our Minnesota Vikings. And on behalf of Tyler Fornes and myself, Dave Stefano, thank you so dearly for watching The Real Forno Show. SKOL, everyone!